Ladies and gentlemen, welcome along to another instalment of our Kuhn baler mini-series. Throughout this series we will be delving deep into the world of Kuhn balers, charting their journey all the way from factory to the customer. In this episode we are going right back to the beginning, to the baler's origins. So we are at the Kuhn baler factory right here in Geldrop in the Netherlands. And to give us an overview of what we are about to see in this episode and to give us a little bit of a flavour of the Geldrop factory, I'm now joined by Mr. Peter van Hoek. So Peter, take it away. What are we going to see today?
We're here in Geldrop, the factory of Kuhn, the expertise center for balers, wrappers and drum mowers. We started a very long time ago in 1937 as PZ when it was founded.
Right, so this is the PZ, the famous PZ factory that many people will know.
Yeah, and to be honest, in the mid-50s he was founded his factory. He moved his factory from city Geldrop to the outskirts of Geldrop, and that is exactly this place where we still are today. And since 2009 we became part of the Kuhn Group, the world famous and world known Kuhn Group, which have factories all over the world, which each their own expertise. And this one in particular in Geldrop is for balers, wrappers and drum mowers.
So when it comes to Kuhn balers, this is it. This is the place.
The place to be.
Right, exactly. Good stuff. So, the place to be, how big is this place?
Actually, the current surface, because Kuhn, to be honest, invested heavily in our location. Since then we scaled up to 16 hectares of surface, and close to 500 people are working here in this space in all various departments we have in Geldrop.
So, in this episode then, we've got a lot coming up, haven't we? Yeah. And it's literally, if you can, grab yourself a cup of tea or a coffee or whatever floats your boat. I mean, grab a beer. Grab a beer, grab a drink, settle down, because this is going to be good. It's going to be quick fire. We are going to fly around this factory, have a look at all the little different departments, see what is actually going on, basically how you actually make a baler. So, Peter, I think we shall see you again in a little bit. But for now, thank you very much, and for you guys, strap in, we'll get ourselves around this Kuhn Geldrop factory. So ladies and gents, we shall now dive straight in of our tour of Kuhn's Geldrop factory, and we are going to start with parts production, specifically laser cutting technology. So I'm now joined by Eef van Gessel, who is going to talk us through some of the investments that Kuhn has made, starting with this magnificent and very complicated laser cutter. So, Eef, yes, just talk us through it, the initial stages of production.
Within Kuhn Geldrop, part production is laser cutting, is bending and welding. And this is the first step in our fabrication process, and it's laser cutting.
Yeah.
The last few years we invested heavily in new equipment for the laser cutting.
You can definitely see that.
This one is brand new.
Right. So how many of these will you have to do all this?
We will have 2 of these machines.
Right.
We invested in these machines in the new laser technology because it's more productive than old equipment. And this machine is also automized.
Okay.
So it cuts the part by itself, but then with those handles, it picks up the parts and puts the parts on a pallet already sorted.
So is that magnetic, that?
No, it's with air.
Oh, it's air, so it's vacuum, is it?
Vacuum,
right.
Yeah. It takes the parts off and puts it on a pallet, so it's immediately finished to go to the next process.
Right, and has this replaced several machines to do that similar process?
Yeah. We have now 1 of this machine, and it replaces 2 old laser cutting machines.
Right.
So it replaces 2 old machines, but it also has the benefits, this new technology, that you only need half of the electricity.
Okay, so it's a lot more efficient.
It's a lot more efficient, and it's more productive because of the machine takes out the parts by itself.
In terms of accuracy, I assume it's very accurate. Once the metal has been cut, you won't have to do too much more work to it, do you, in terms of machining or finishing?
No, it's not needed because of the software it's huge benefits in the last year that the software is that accurate that it cuts a very smooth line and we don't need to do any processes afterwards.
Well, that is the first stage in the process.
Exactly.
We shall now move on to the next stage. So, hey, we move on onto some subassembly now, you might say.
Yep.
And in the background, we've got some welding going on.
Yes, indeed.
So, just talk us through this next process in the fabrication phase.
So the first step was laser cutting.
Yeah.
Then we have the bending, and in the end we have the welding of the parts. And we do that mostly with welding robots and not manually. So here in the back of us you see one of our robots welding the parts together.
And do you do still, are there some people still doing little bits of welding for?
Yeah, some specific parts are done manually, or very big parts, but we try to do the majority of our workload do it by robots.
Okay, and in terms of parts fabrication, what sort of percentage of parts would you actually make in-house compared to those that you maybe buy in?
More than half of the parts that we use in our machines are produced by ourselves.
Right.
And we make the choice to produce the most critical parts for the machine by ourselves.
Yeah. So those critical parts, what would they be? Would they be sort of like the chassis, bale chamber, things like that?
Yeah, exactly. That kind of parts, yeah, that we do by ourselves. Yeah.
Okay. And what sort of rate can these weld at in terms of, throughput?
Depending, of course, of the part, but some parts are very complex, and then it can take up to a few hours to do a complete assembly, and some parts it's just over a few minutes.
Excellent stuff. So there we go. 2 steps down. We shall we'll move on to the next bit. So far we've seen laser cutting, we've seen welding, and obviously we talked about the bending in between.
Yeah.
Next step, powder coating.
Powder coating.
Talk
indeed.
us through it.
Yeah. Powder coating, different stages in the process. First of all, we hook parts. Then they are going into our powder coating system. We do shot blasting, so that's taking the corrosion of our parts. After shot blasting, the parts go to a chemical pre-treatment, so cleaning the parts and taking grease off. And afterwards, we do the coating of the parts. We do it in 2 different cabins, powder coating cabins. One we use for the Kuhn Grey and the other for the Kuhn Red. If the parts are coated, they are going to a furnace, and then the parts are finished and we take them off and they're ready to ship to assembly.
They are good to go then?
Yeah.
We talk about powder coating.
Yeah.
So in terms of how you differentiate yourselves compared to other manufacturers which may just use paint, how come you guys powder coat, and do you powder coat everything?
Almost every part we do powder coating. We already use the process for many years.
Right.
And in 2015 we invested in a complete new powder coating installation in the back of us. Why are we using powder coating? Because it has the best quality for the purpose we need for our products.
Right, great stuff. And it sounds like, from what we've seen already, it sounds like, the investment never stops.
No.
And I suppose it can't stop, can it?
No, it can't stop. We have to be every day better and better, more efficient. So here in Geldrop, but within the complete Kuhn Group, we are every year investing in new processes, new equipment to get better and better.
So, powder coating done.
Yeah.
Let's just keep on rolling, shall we? Excellent.
Very good.
So, ladies and gents, we are once again joined by Peter, who is just going to give us a quick overview of the assembly lines and sort of what you do in here.
Yeah, what we do here, we have the assembly lines in multiple stages for several products. The different goods are coming in here. So the powder coated parts we produce ourselves. The parts from the suppliers, we got them via the warehouse, and they are moved into the assembly lines here. They are filled from the side, so our logistic department is filling up the let's say, the warehouses, on the assembly stations.
So like mini warehouses, mini storage areas ready to come onto the line.
Exactly, and they always are have a backup storage, so they are using the parts down here at the easy level.
Yeah.
And they always have a second bin of the same parts available on the top,
right.
so we can
keep it rolling, keep it
rolling, exactly.
Right.
And then the guys here, they take the parts what they need, make their assembly. They have digital screens on each assembly post for the assembly instructions, so they can see what they have to do to install the parts properly.
Yeah.
And this way we can also update the instructions real time. So if we make changes in parts or when we have alternated parts in the assembly line, we can directly update the assembly instructions over here.
And you mentioned there is several different lines, so I assume you'll have different products on each line. It's not like a tractor factory where you could put all the tractors down one line. In your case, you've got round balers, square balers.
Yeah. We divide it into zones. We have basically 3 zones in our assembly line. One is for wrappers and everything that has to do with wrappers, like also our combi balers. Then the second one is big balers, square balers. And the last one is round balers. So the solo round balers, fixed chamber and variable baler.
So the combi wrappers, which I think we're going to see next actually in detail, would you take a baler, a solo baler, and then it comes over to you and then gets married up?
We order a solo baler from the baler
like an
line.
internal order.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's built, let's see, 1 week before the order of the build pack goes into assembly. So it's ready on time. We move it over here on a dummy axle, and later on we pick up the machine, remove the dummy axle, and place it into a build pack frame.
Yeah. Good stuff. So that is an overview of the assembly line, and we're going to get into a little bit more detail into what goes on here. Right, up next. So folks, I didn't think I would be saying this today, but we are about to witness a marriage. And to explain a little bit more of what I'm going on about, we've got Peter once again. So this stage is quite a critical stage.
Exactly. It's the round baler, which we ordered internally from our round baler assembly line.
Yep.
It's brought here just in a couple of hours ago. It's now on a dummy axle, and the next step is that we are going to lift up machine, remove the dummy axle, put it into the build pack frame, which is already standing there, and then it's the first step of the build pack, because the next step will be that we attach the wrapper to it, and that's almost ready.
So in terms of the actual design of these machines, they're actually quite modular in effect. You know, you've got a standalone baler, which without too much more adaptation can be married to a chassis and be turned into a combi baler.
Exactly. As an example, the drawbar, for example, of our solo balers is designed in such a way that's also capable of handling build pack chassis. So the drawbar is already attached to the machine. So it's only a matter of lifting this one into the build pack chassis, the drawbar is already on, and move on.
Great stuff. Once again, thank you very much, Peter.
Okay.
So, ladies and gents, we move on, and I'm now joined by Art Jacobs, who's going to talk us through the testing process of the balers. And as you can see, we've got one running in the background here. So, Art, talk us through the process, the actual final checks process, and what's involved.
Well, it's almost the final check that we do here, but it's the final check on the machine's performance on mechanical level.
Right.
So all the things that we're doing inside the machine is basically checking all the mechanical parts, the mechanical processes of the machine to ensure that a good baler is formed eventually.
Yes.
We do this, we call this dry testing, of course, because we don't put the grass inside the machine here.
No, not at all.
Not yet, but it's the dry testing process, and our testing engineer is basically checking all the boxes to ensure good performance of the baler.
And this process, as we're watching it now, this is straight after the assembly line. It's straight off the assembly line into here. And the checks that you're doing, you say they are mechanical checks. Does that include things like hydraulics and electronics as well?
Yes, of course.
Right.
Hydraulics, electronics, basically everything that ensures that the mechanical parts are doing their job.
So pretty much all the baler's functions.
Yeah, all the baler's functions.
obviously, no one's perfect, and what you guys want to try and do is prevent any defects going out the door. So if you do get a check that maybe fails, whatever that may be, what happens next?
Well, before this, the mechanics are doing their job to create the machine, to build the machine like this. But the person inside this test cabin is an engineer. He's a test engineer, but he's also a mechanic. Which makes it possible for him to solve those issues or get the people out of the line to, within his time of testing the machine, he can still solve it before the machine has to go out of the door.
Okay, so even at this stage, it could be solved before it even leaves here.
Exactly.
Art, I could talk to you probably all day about what goes on here, but we must move on. So for now, Art, thank you very much for your time.
All right.
So, ladies and gents, we are nearly at the end of the assembly process, of the build process, and we are just at that point, like you said before off camera, before the product leaves the gate. So this is final checks, this is absolute final checks. So, carrying out those final checks, we've got Rob over here.
Yes.
Now, Rob doesn't quite speak English, so we've got Peter here, who's going to translate for Rob. So, Rob, tell me what happens with final checks. What's the process?
The process is, ik pak een lijst.
So he's taking the order for the machine.
Yeah.
As we get it in, it's not only the order, but it's also all the checklist of all the stations that have been passed. Rob is first checking from the order itself, is the machine built according to the order, what we got in from the customer. Then the next part is check all the checklists. Check the test cabin list. Is everything filled out correctly? Are all adjustments done? Is everything assigned by the correct persons? And then he's doing some visual checks. And he has a separate test list for the machine for points to check individual from the assembly line, which Rob have to check. And if he sees errors on the machine or things that are not okay, he communicates with the coordinator of the line, and they are responsible to solve it right here. Otherwise, this machine will not have a green light to go out.
So these checks that are happening now, which happen after the testing which we saw earlier, are these mostly visual checks then of the machine?
Partly visual checks, also for scratches or damages, but also a couple of real physical tests, like Rob is always checking the wheel nuts. Every machine, he checks the wheel nuts.
Ah, so torque levels.
He is checking the drawbar, like the real critical parts on the machine are always checked separately from the assembly line. They have to check it themselves, they have to fill it out, but we always do a second check.
Well, Rob, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Peter, thanks again. And yes, we shall now move on. So, ladies and gents, we continue our tour of the Geldrop Factory. I'm now joined by Eef Hendricks, who's going to talk through shipping. So, Eef, shipping, what is involved with shipping? I mean, we've seen a little bit already with the sort of the container preparation, with the shrink wrap, which it looks quite cool, by the way, which we can see here in the background as well. So, just talk us through the process from the final product through to here and then out into the big wide world.
Well, actually it all starts upstairs here. Here's the order desk. So the customers send their orders. We plan them together with the production. And then when they're finished from production, we come here downstairs at the shipping department. And when the machines are finished, usually a few days in advance, we put the machines inside so they can dry up a little. Then the truck or container comes. As you maybe can see, by the loading docks, it's a little lower. So the floor here is equally to the floor of the truck.
So when it comes to shipping these machines around the world, obviously you've got some that are sort of ready for containers to be put in containers, but some will be kind of very complete. You know, they'll have the drawbar on and everything. Is that dependent on where they are going in the world? Yeah.
The complete built machine doesn't fit into a container. So a container has to be packed like here. But if we have a truckload to Germany, we just drive it on a truck with a forklift.
That's it.
And then the machine is complete, already built, goes to Germany, they unload it, and they can start working with it.
Nice and simple.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Well, Eve, thank you very much for the little insight into shipping.
Yes.
We shall move on to the next bit. So, ladies and gents, we continue our tour of the Geldrop Factory, and obviously there's a lot of knowledge at the factory about the balers, and that knowledge needs transferring. So, we're now joined by Rodri Jenkins, who you may have seen in one of the other videos from this Kuhn baler mini-series when we visited Kuhn UK, which is known as Kuhn Farm Machinery in Telford. We did a really good piece in there. Rodri was in that, explaining a lot of what goes on at the Telford site. So Rodri's now joining us here at Geldrop to kind of link the pieces, link the jigsaw together, particularly this knowledge transfer, because that's a massive key bit when it comes to backing up these balers, these bits of kit for your dealers and your customers. So Rodri, what is involved with that then?
Well, first of all, welcome to Kuhn Geldrop. We are in our technical training facility here in Geldrop. Maybe once or twice a year, our technical engineers will come over here. They will get factory level training. The first part will be done via theory in the classroom, and then what we'll do is we'll actually set up training rigs here. We'll try and simulate real life problems that might occur in the field, so our technical trainers are better prepared before the season commences.
Right,
that's the idea behind it.
So you can throw them some proper curveballs, and it's like,
you
right,
can try to test them. Yeah,
figure that one out.
Yeah, so we'll fault find on these training rigs, and we'll try and test our product engineers to get them ready for the season.
So the product engineers that you are training, are they Kuhn Farm Machinery engineers, or are they dealers? Who is it that you are actually training?
Primarily it is our own technical engineers, and then we will pass that information on, that same factory level information on to our dealer network. And again, we mentioned in the previous episode with our authorized baler centers, they will get the same high level of training that we offer in the factory.
And would there be any occasion where, especially those people from your baler specialist centres around the UK, would you bring those people over here as well potentially?
We have done in the past, focusing solely on the large square balers. It gives them a great opportunity to appreciate what Kuhn has to offer, and providing them with that high level training to get them better prepared and hopefully more competent in the field and with these balers.
Good stuff. Well, Rodri, as ever, thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much.
Perfect. I'm now joined by Tom van Dormel, who is going to talk us through what Kuhn here at Geldrop does in its R&D facility. So, Tom, what's it all about? What do you get up to?
Yeah, I'm actually one of the test engineers of the machine behind us. It's a VBP 71 series, and we started from scratch with that one, so we went through the whole process.
Okay, so that was a blank sheet of paper.
Yeah.
And how long ago would that process have started? How long is the period of design development of a baler?
I think we started about 5 or 6 years ago with the first prototype.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the meantime we are in full production with this one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think 5, 6 years before we are completely finished with it.
Right, so there's a lot involved from the early stages of a sketch through to the full production. So yourself as a test engineer, what do you sort of do?
So the engineers actually have an idea. They develop something. We build it, and we actually go in the field with it and test it all around the world. So you see the whole process. We are involved with all from the first brainstorm about the idea and how to go on, and until the last.
That's got to be quite fun.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Sure, sometimes we think that something will work great, and then we go in the field and it's not that great at all.
Yeah, but that's all part of the process, I suppose. Yeah. And before you actually build the machine, how close can you get it? With such as 3D modelling, computer modelling. How close can you get that to that almost?
already the first prototype, there is a complete 3D model of it. So we model everything in the design apartment, make 3D models of everything. And that will evolve during the process. And if we look at this machine, then we started at different concepts. So our first prototype was completely different compared to what we end up.
Right.
Yeah.
So it looked different to this that we see here. Right. Well, Tom, I could probably speak to you all day about R&D.
Yeah.
Well, seriously, everybody, I could, because I love it. But I won't keep you any longer because obviously you've got a lot to do, and obviously we can't show you everything in the R&D department because there's a lot of secrets, and we can't let all those out. Hence why we're stood in front of this. But yeah, Tom, once again, thank you very much for your time. That has been absolutely perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So there you go, ladies and gents. We have literally, well, we've seen it all today, haven't we, Peter? It's been absolutely fantastic from start to finish. I must thank yourself and your team and all the people that we have spoken to today. It's been an absolutely great insight into how you guys produce balers here at Geldrop. Like I say, from the very start, from the very beginning, where we saw the materials coming in, laser cutting, welding, powder coating, all the materials coming together, the production line. I mean, you've just seen it all, you know, like I say, we've seen it all today. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I mean, Peter, final thoughts, final messages for the viewers?
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and see you soon.
There you go. Couldn't have said it better myself. And for all this Kuhn baler mini-series, go check it out on landpowertv.com. It'll all be there, obviously depending on when you are watching each one. So go check that out. Obviously follow our social media channels, follow the Kuhn social media channels for all the updates on this Kuhn baler mini series. As ever, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you again next time.